You can't define an A player without first defining what are you trying to get the business to achieve.
Good talent is good wherever you put them. It doesn't matter. That's why it's very important to define the culture and the moment where that company is.
Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Free to Grow CFO Podcast, where we dive deep into conversations about scaling a profitable D2C brand. I'm your host, Jon Blair, founder of Free to Grow CFO. We are the go-to outsourced finance and accounting firm for 8- and 9-figure D2C brands. All right, hey everyone, excited to be back for another episode. I've got my pal, CEO and co-founder of Vintti, Agustin Morrone. Augustine, what's happening, man?
Hi, John. How are you? Happy to be here.
Yeah, for those of you who don't know Augustine, he runs a staffing firm called Vintti. Free to Grow CFO works with them. We actually co-hosted a dinner event with the local Austin e-com community and our clients a couple of months ago. Augustine gave a really awesome talk about hiring A players. And so today I kind of wanted to continue that conversation, also kind of see where things go. But the whole reason I want to have Augustine back on is because when we think about scaling an e-commerce brand in 2026, one of the big themes that I'm seeing play out with our clients is that everyone is trying to run their business with a lean, high-performance team. And I'm seeing time and time again that the key, the secret to profitability that not enough people are talking about is hiring really strong talent. An A player can drive profitability in your business far more than a B player or a C player. And so today we're going to get into talking about that and more. So Augustine, before we dive into this conversation, can you give everyone a brief background of who you are and what Vintti does?
Amazing. Thank you very much, John. So my name is Agustin, CEO and co-founder of Vintti. I have a background in business. I have been all my life in sales. And I started Vintti because I was selling some SaaS software, financial SaaS software to US companies while I was living in Barcelona. And one of the things that every CFO or people related to the finance team was requesting is, hey, I need also to hire someone. Could you recommend anyone? Because all the here in the US is very hard to find good AA players that are not super expensive, right? And I said this must be a great opportunity because I'm from Argentina. I have a lot of contacts there. And I start connecting those points and I realized that, hey, we can do a business here, right? So I jump out from my position at sales at that company and I started Vintti 4 years ago. And it has been crazy. We are now a team of plus 30, serving more than 40, I think it's 43, 44 clients, all in the US. So it's been pretty intense, and we are looking forward to this 2026 that it's been challenging in terms of growth. And we are dealing with that problem that you are mentioning, finding A players to us also, right? So yeah, that's a bit of us.
I'm smiling because it's interesting how much of a similar journey Free to Grow CFO has been on. We started 4 years ago. We have today 47 clients and about 25 team members. And so we're in different businesses, right? But overlapping worlds. We use Vintti for a big part of our recruiting, our team. So before, really what I want to dive into next is this concept of an A player. You gave a really great talk at our shared dinner a couple months ago about A players. In your words, what is an A player and why is it so valuable to understand how to define this type of individual when you're building a team for your business?
For me, the first thing is the A player depends a lot on the stage you are and the position you are looking for. Because one thing is the type of people that you need when you're starting a business and those first hires. And then the people that you need to scale that business when you have already a proven business, a profitable business, and then, okay, I have to go to the next stage and go hyper growth and really build a huge company. Despite the different technicalities or things that you may need, I think that someone, an A player is someone that has a lot of autonomy, someone that you can delegate and you can trust that things are going to be done, or that they are going to bring you the problems to solve it together. But there are people that are really managing what is going on, and they really understand and they have control over the situation. They have this sense of urgency, something that is super important in young companies. A players generally understand that things should be done as soon as possible, right? And they are on the things, on the topics. They want to solve it as soon as they can, right? I think that another thing related to an A player is they are intelligent. They are not like Einsteins, obviously, but they are people that they think, that they have business acumen, they have criteria to make decisions. And this is related to the autonomy, right? So I think those three things are really important, and start building this character of an A player that you need in your team.
There's a couple of things I wrote down as you were talking. First is it starts with what I call designing the seat, or some people call that the position, right? You don't just recruit an A player. You first figure out what is the seat that you need within your organizational design to drive forward the business. And then you go find an A player to fill that seat, right? You can't define what you need out of an A player if you don't know what they're going to be responsible for and accountable for. And when I think about this from the perspective of scaling a business, you mentioned something about like when you're looking for A players, looking for someone to help you scale the business. What I think about is what are the ceilings that your business is running up against, the constraints that are holding you back, the goals that you have defined that you're trying to achieve or create within the business. And what I find is as e-com brands are scaling is what got them to a certain level of growth from a team standpoint is not necessarily what gets them through that ceiling into the next level of growth. But the point that I'm making is you can't define an A player without first defining what are you trying to get the business to achieve, because you then pair up looking for that A player with those needs. So one thing I want to ask you is like, when you guys are a recruiting business, so you're going out and helping brands and other professionals find talent all the time, what are some of the things that you ask your clients to come to you with? Information, vision of what they're looking for. What do they need to bring to the table to make sure that you guys at Vintti are successful in defining what an A player looks like for that position?
For me, there are two groups of qualities that we look for. The first one is the technical qualities, obviously. So someone in sales needs to know how to sell or to know the industry or whatever, right? So those are the easy things because are more objective, right? But then the second group, and is where we put a lot of effort, is the culture. And the culture, because an A player, obviously good talent is good wherever you put them. It doesn't matter. They have this inner force that will move them forward. But there are certain positions and certain organizations and certain moments of those organizations that they will shine most because they are more comfortable with the situation, right? So that's why it's very important to define the culture and the moment where that company is. For example, one of the things that we do is in our process, we obviously request a job description, trying to know what you are looking for, etc. But then we do like a deep dive, and Jon, you are aware of this, where we try to interview our client to understand, okay, which are the things that you value in someone, which are the values of your company, because we will go out there in the market and try to find someone that fits that culture for two reasons. First, the person it's gonna perform better in a culture where they fit. And that leads to a second point, which is they will last longer, and the impact that these people will generate is huge compared to someone that does not fit with the culture, right? And at the end, this is a business decision for us, because if I can allocate someone that fits your culture and performs good, you're going to come back, right? So understanding the culture of our clients is one of the most important things and tasks that our recruiters have. That's super, super important.
Yeah, it's interesting. So like some of the ways that I like to think about it, this is kind of a mixture of different frameworks that I've read about and learned about over the years of growing businesses. There's passion, there's proficiency or technical competency, and then there's culture fit. When you have someone that you put in a position that they're highly passionate about, they're highly proficient at, and then you put them in a place where they fit in with the culture, it's like this explosion of value. You can be missing one of those three things, passion, proficiency, culture, and someone can still perform decently well. But if you want someone to create value and stay for a long time, when you have all three of those things, passion, proficiency, and culture, that's when you start getting kind of this snowball effect of, growing value over time and also fulfillment in the work. And it becomes kind of self-motivating for the employee. I want to ask you, this is making me think of something. And I think you talked a little bit about this at the talk that you gave at our dinner a couple months ago. But, there's A players, B players, C players. I don't go below C because we just shouldn't even be talking about D or F, right?
Yeah.
I like to think about if we kind of put some simple kind of rules to it. A players make you money. B players cost you time in managing. And then C players, they cost you time and money, right? What are your thoughts on the difference between maybe B and C players versus A and how they impact the organization?
I mean, there is a huge discussion around this, but for me, C players are a hiring mistake, 100%. If you hire a C player, you have to just try to get that person off the organization as soon as possible, because they are people that they drive the culture down. They push you far away from your objectives. Those are people that you don't want on the team. That they are not aligned with the culture. They are not good technically. They are a cost from whatever perspective. And for me, energy, yes. The cost economically, yes. But again, going back to the culture, these are people that are going to lower the bar of the rest of the team. And generally, what I have seen is A players, they want to work with A players. And when they see that you're hiring a C player or perhaps a B player, and then you maintain that person, they get demotivated. So you not only are maintaining someone that is not good, you are like pushing away the good people, because the good people want to work with good people, because that's what will make them better also, right? So the first thing is C players, try to avoid them as much as you can. Then the comparison between B player and A player is very difficult for me. I mean, you realize when you have an A player, but the problems with B player is that they perform good sometimes, right? But in terms of the culture and of setting the bar and the expectations for the rest of the team, you're gonna like commit to an average performance. And when you are building a company, I don't know, we are building Vintti. Vintti is in the staffing industry. The competition here is fierce. Like entry barriers to staffing are super low. There are staffing agencies popping up like nothing. So you have to compete a lot in pricing, in quality, in service level. So you cannot afford having someone that is not pushing the bar higher, right? If you settle with that, you are condemning your company to just be average. And in an industry where you are competing like crazy, like most of the industries, I mean, you are getting into a dangerous position.
I couldn't agree more. I just recently finished reading this book. I run our business on a framework called EOS. That's what I ran the brand that I helped start Guardian Bikes on. It's a framework for thinking about, it's a business operating system. And one of the components of EOS is the people component, right? And I just finished reading, Traction. So I just got done reading the book written by Gino Wickman.
Yeah.
It's called How to Be a Great Boss. It's the EOS people frameworks, right? And he starts the book by saying this, but he also talks about, he says the same thing in Traction, but that in a world of global competition, right, there are very few competitive advantages. One of the few competitive advantages left is your team. It's your people. And luckily, the people component of business is so hard. Even though there's fierce competition, most of your competition is managing people poorly. So if you can be the one in your industry that manages people well, regardless of how quality your service is or your pricing, it actually ends up being the driving force that drives quality and even drives your ability to maybe raise prices compared to your competition. It really is the last competitive advantage left in a largely free market economy. Do you want to use debt to scale your D2C brand, but you don't know where to start? And to make matters worse, are you overwhelmed by all the options? Shopify Capital, Wayflyer, ABLs, SBA loans. How do you actually know which one is right for your business? Don't worry, we've got you covered. At Free to Grow CFO, we've helped nearly 100 fast-growing D2C brands, and we've raised tens of millions of dollars in debt capital along the way. And based on all this experience, we've created a helpful resource just for you, our D2C Debt Playbook. It's a debt playbook that'll help D2C operators like you make well-informed decisions about bringing in the right debt at the right time. Grab it for free at freetogrowcfo.com/debt or the link in the show notes. So this brings me to my point about B players. When I wrote down, A players make you money, B players cost you time. to manage them. C players cost you time and money. The B players, the trap is or the question, which can be a trap. I was talking to my leadership team about this the other day. I said, hey guys, we've got some people on the team that we can develop into A players. They fit the culture. They're pretty good, right? But my question to us is, should we spend the time developing them? And I got to tell you, it's not an easy question to answer. It's not straightforward. And you feel at times like it's so desperate to develop people. And we have a heart to develop people as well, right? But when you're growing and you're scaling, it also is a time commitment. Do you have any personal thoughts or advice on like thinking through how much leadership or management talent should go into developing someone?
For me, I'm going to add something which complicates the equation a bit more, which is generally in small teams, there is a personal or relational component that makes the decision even harder. Right?
Yeah.
Because with players it's easy because they don't fit. So it's easy. Big players, perhaps they fit the culture. You have a good relationship. You have a good time. The problem is you need more from them. For me, at least what we do at Vintti and what we have recommended this some clients is we try to have two types of KPIs, right? Obviously the KPIs of results. For example, in sales, in a BDR team, the KPI is how many SQLs have you booked? That's objective, simple, and that's performance 100%. Then we have other KPIs, which are the effort KPIs that you are doing that show me that you are putting the time and that you are putting all from you to really push the bar higher, right? Perhaps we are not getting to the results yet, but if I see that those metrics of effort that are in the right place, and we are getting into the objective of putting the time, putting the effort, putting that mind, that time and everything. And if I see those numbers go up, I say, okay, the time will come where the results will arrive, right? Having said this, if the results don't arrive in the long term, you're a business and you need to perform, right? And that's objective. But those measures, those effort KPIs help me to understand, okay, this person is in the right path or not, and it's worth investing time or not, right?
Yeah, no, I like that. That is a solid framework. It's like the effort is the activity KPI. It's almost like the leading indicator. Are we even doing the actions that might drive the outcome? But at the end of the day, and obviously I'm a finance guy, so it probably makes sense that I'm saying this. At the end of the day, we're a business, and every person in the business owns one or more of the following: a line or lines on the P&L, a line or lines on your balance sheet, the advancement of some strategic objective, right? And when we think about A players, and I keep coming back to A players make money, right? You mentioned they're proactive. They don't need to be managed. They're solution oriented. They're just naturally figuring out how to increase revenue, reduce costs, drive forward some other initiative of value. They take personal pride in knowing that they're moving the needle ultimately on the business's financials. So look, we only got a couple minutes left here, but I have a couple last really important questions for you. The first is, being that you're in the staffing world, so you're seeing hiring decisions every day at a volume that most people are not. For the founders listening, what's the single biggest mistake or trap that you're seeing again and again and again that you advise listeners of this to avoid in their hiring efforts?
For me, this is a bit polemic, but the phrase hire fast, fire faster, I just agree with the fire faster.
Yeah, for sure.
That fire faster, yes. When you see there is something wrong, do it, execute it. But the hiring fast, every time I see a founder comes, not with a clear idea of what they want, because they just need to hire someone to solve a problem and they don't think about how that person is going to solve that and how that to set that person for success, almost every time that ends in a wrong place, right? So, it's not hiring fast, because if you have the right idea, it's okay to hire fast and with a proper process, with an interview process, okay. But people that don't think what they need and they just throw people to the problem, that does not solve anything, and it ends up in firing someone, making us lose time and everything. So for me, the number one mistake is hiring fast without a proper process to understanding what you need and executing that process to discover that person that you need.
Yeah, that's great advice. So if you could leave everybody listening right now with a final thought that you want them to remember from our discussion today, What would that be?
Invest time in defining a good interview process.
Hmm.
That for
Yeah.
me is, I see there is a huge difference in terms of the companies that they hire through a thoughtful interview process. Those processes end up in hiring good people. That ends up in multiplying every aspect of your business when you hire good people. And when you don't have a proper interview process and you just hire for intuition or whatever, generally it ends up in a bad place where you have no idea what went wrong. So having a good settled interview process for me is a game changer.
That's such great advice, and definitely gonna want to listen to this one again, guys. A lot of really good stuff here. What I'll leave everyone with our final thoughts is just remember, A players, they're gonna help you make more money. They're gonna help you break through that growth ceiling. B players aren't all bad, but they're gonna cost you management time. C players are going to cost you time, money, and probably they're going to cost you your A players as well. So before we leave here, Agustin, where can everyone find more information about Vintti?
So you can just go to our web, www.vintti.com, or you just can reach out in LinkedIn to me or to anyone of the sales team, and we are super happy to help.
Yeah, we'll have all your information in the show notes. Definitely check out some of Agustin's content on LinkedIn. He's putting some good stuff out. And yeah, Agustin, I appreciate you coming on, man, and I look forward to chatting again soon.
Thank you very much, Jon. We have a great time.
Don't forget, if you liked today's episode, please hit the subscribe button and leave us a review. It helps us reach more people like you. Also, if you want daily tips on scaling a profitable D2C brand, follow me, Jon Blair, on LinkedIn. And if you're interested in learning more about how Free to Grow CFO can help your brand increase profit and cash flow as you scale, check us out at freetogrowcfo.com.